Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to those on the European continent. Sailing into the second half of the month of June, we are keeping our fingers crossed for a safe summer, hoping things remain uneventful as we head towards the end of a very difficult year. Welcome back to the fourth sequence of the ATF Plugged In Series 2020. This 45-minute session will give us an update on the rather unique market that Cambodia has become. Today is slated as one of the most prolific markets in Southeast Asia. We're privileged to have with us veteran buyers from significant platforms in Cambodia. With us today, we have Achaya, Chief Commercial Officer of Sabay Digital, Michael Chai, CEO of Westec Media Limited, and Socheata Sok, Programming Manager of Cambodian Broadcasting Service. We're also really excited to have Asfar Ajaz, General Manager of Media Services at Blue Media, who joins us as session moderator. He will begin the session with a quick overview of the market, sharing some exclusive statistics. Let's welcome Asfar as we begin this session.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. I hope everyone is safe during these uncertain times. I am honored to lead this session today, and I hope this gathering will offer you some valuable insights into the media and entertainment industry looking at the market of Cambodia. Buyers speak. What are they looking for? The goal of today's session is to take a closer look at the Cambodian market, peeking into the mindset of content buyers and commissioners in revealing the current state of content alignment here. If you look at the slide, the Cambodian media industry is a vibrant one, but is still unregulated and has been for a long time. Cambodians do appreciate quality content, and more so on those that can be enjoyed with family and friends. This includes variety shows, live concerts, aired on TV, as well as the usual dramas and movies. Local content needs improvement in the technical to the creative, including specifics like sound quality and other production details, including storyline and content development. Foreign content is still widely accepted, dubbed in the local Khmer language, and include the usual romance, horror, action, and suspense. As of now, there is no official tool for measuring media consumption, and many local platforms use individual data. In the next slide, we see that the most popular genres on Cambodian TV includes comedy, music, and drama. Local comedies like Somniria Tompon, Ban Nuril, Ban Sach, and Ot Cheng Pong are big hits currently, while prominent music programs, including the likes of The Voice of Cambodia and Cambodia Got Talent. Further foreign unscripted formats include MasterChef and X Factor Cambodia. On the drama side, the trending programs including the Thai Analog Come, the Korean The King Eternal Monarch, and the Chinese Love So Beautiful. On the next slide, we see that the social media is growing phenomenon in Cambodia. Time spent on social media includes watching short-form content, as well as music videos and catch-up TV episodes. Something to note as well, the likes Netflix is also popular among the youth within the bigger cities in the country. And now, without further delay, I would like to invite our panelists for a compelling discussion and hope to go through as many questions as possible. Let's start with Achaya to kick off this segment. Achaya, help us to understand. In general, for those who are looking to find new opportunities in Cambodia, how can one enter the Cambodian market in order to sell successfully?
Hi, Asfar. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Just very simply, break down the barriers to entry. I think as content creators, given the size of the market that we're dealing with, the size of the population, the rise of technology, and also how it's connected to monetization, because we're all in it to make money, right? The barriers to entry with high MGs and high initial down payments is basically the barriers that we face in being able to monetize downstream. So I think Michael also will agree with me on this, that anybody willing to come into Cambodia, this is a market which is almost like a blue ocean territory given in Asia. So if you come in with a straight out licensing deal, I think you'll have a lot of players who'll be willing to work with you. And then on a profit share model, and then depending on what we can absorb from the market, we all share a piece of that pie.
Okay, thank you. And Michael?
Well, I agree with Achaya. It's just down to the costing, because in Cambodia, beyond the cost of acquisition of content, there's also the cost of localization. Localization is very key to get a wider audience.
Correct.
And recoupment on the cost of localization is also quite significant.
Okay, let me ask you, Michael, what is your take on this? How do you think a content seller can enter the Cambodian market to sell successfully?
I think the current infrastructure through the markets like ATF and Filmart, or some of the Asian regional markets are quite sufficient. There's only a few handful of us around town who are doing acquisitions besides the TV stations for VOD platforms, essentially. So it's not difficult. It's just basically a very small group of players at the moment. So reaching out to the few of us, that's pretty much it. Cambodia is a small market, and yeah, it's easy.
Okay, thank you. So let's hear from Socheata. Socheata?
Hello?
Yeah. Socheata, what sort of foreign content will you consider? And seeing how there are attendees today from more than 35 countries across the globe interested in the Cambodia market, and what has been successful foreign content so far? And for example, will Turkish content work? What about Spanish or French finished products?
Okay. Back to the question for Asfar.
Yeah.
And I want to bring everyone to the slide presentation that you have presented before this. You got quite right in terms of category. I mean the kind of foreign content for Cambodian markets. The third case, I want to go to the second question, about the third case.
Okay.
Back a few years ago, we have testing it from the best series.
Yeah.
And Lesler. The feedback is quite interesting from the teenagers, but in terms of the mass market, it's not really work, because it's very fast, because the mystery in the storyline, but it is well known in terms of quality and production and the cast.
Good. Okay. And what about Spanish and French finished products?
We have never tasted this kind of from France.
Okay, so I'll move to Achaya. How difficult, Achaya, how difficult do you think it is for foreign production houses to break into the Cambodian market, and why is this so?
The beauty of Cambodia is nothing is difficult. You just have to be good.
Okay.
So understanding your target audience is primary to figure out what it is that they want, because most content creators believe they have the best product, but at the end of the day, it's the audience that determines whether it works or not.
Yeah.
Then there is, as Michael said, the cost of localization, where a lot of markets that we go to, people have interesting or content that we could exploit or use in the local market, but they don't have the foundational material that supports us launching that. So they will not have say an English track, they will not have subtitles, because they've never thought of a market that is outside of theirs, and they can easily kind of port this content to say English. But the Cambodian market is very, very linguistically kind of locked in. So if it's not in Khmer, don't even try launching it, because subtitles, given the content consumption on the kind of devices that they consume it, is primary mobile if you're talking about platforms. So having Khmer subtitles on a mobile device, where Khmer is a very verbose language, where saying 3 words in English is about 12 words in Khmer.
Correct.
So the user experience is really bad. So we have to dub. So we need to have all of those supporting materials for us to even try and launch. So I think that if content creators want to enter this market, they need to come with the whole package of supporting material that allows us to enter that market with ease. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Staying with Achaya for a bit longer, looking at content acquisition pricing, has this changed? Looking at the content acquisition pricing, has this changed significantly with the entrance of international players like Netflix, Facebook, and YouTube? How are local players coping or benefiting?
So I don't think it's a question of whether it's international or local. It's more a question of the platform itself.
Correct.
Platforms by and large are acquiring better kinds of content because they have a lot of data on what their audiences watch. So if you look like someone like Netflix, the content that they produce is data-based content. We have this many users. I think Extraction, to give you an example, is the highest viewed film on Netflix right now. It's 90 million overviews. And this is primarily because they shot it in Dhaka in India, where they have an audience that will tune in to watch, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically the players on the ground that are competing with the bigger platforms that have bigger mass. So I don't think from a content creator's perspective that it makes a difference on where they sell, as long as they can monetize. For us on the ground, it's more about what can we do to work with those content creators to give them an additional source of revenue over and above what they're already getting from those more traditional channels.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Michael, do you agree with Achaya?
Yeah, mostly it's he's got it spot on in terms of the adding value to content creators over here. In terms of content acquisition pricing, I think it's actually stabilized. It's not like a couple of about 2-3 years back where there was a lot of bidding wars between Netflix and iFlix and for our regional content or regional rights. So we've seen actually pricing drop significantly and more deals are up on the table now. And from a buyer's perspective, we kind of have a pretty big selection to pick from nowadays, because Netflix is not really geared or aiming at Cambodia yet. I don't know when they're going to look at that, because as a viable market, it's going to be a while longer before they really step foot in here the way they have in Thailand and Malaysia and Singapore.
Okay, great. Thank you. Before we continue, I would like to mention that there will be a polling segment happening right about now. So please do take part while we continue to engage in this discussion. I'm coming to Socheata. Socheata?
Yes.
How important is localization of the content? How important is localization of the content, such as dubbing or stories as well? And when is content dubbed into local language, the quality of the content is affected? For example, the voices of original actors cannot be heard and viewers may experience unnaturalness, while the lip synchronicity is inadequate. Do the local viewers accept this?
Talking about the translation and dubbing, it plays the most important role in the entertainment industry, especially the content broadcasting, because first of all, they are very familiar with the traditional, how to say, the traditional habit that they have been so far. Even in local production, they still prefer to do the dubbing, because they are like, they get used to hear the beautiful voice of the main actor and actress, and to feel the best the emotion from the cast or character, they need the dubbing. So it is even more important for the foreign content to be dubbed, I mean translate and dub in Khmer.
In Khmer. Okay.
Yeah, and they like, we can say that translation and dubbing in Cambodia is very professional and perfect,
Okay.
because like you can get the feel by watching it in dub. And they don't mind to like not to hearing the real voice from the actor, I mean the foreign actor in the cast, because they like they want that character to be in that sound, that
Okay.
voice. Yeah, so they like, okay, they can imagine to those voice over. So
Okay.
it still play the best part in Cambodian market for the translation and dubbing. Even like right now we need the, how to say, subtitling service in Cambodia, but it's just like the additional service.
Attention,
They
sir.
still need the dubbing and together with the subtitle in English or Khmer.
Okay. Thank you. What do you think, Achaya? How important is localization of content on your platform, such as dubbing or stories?
Localization is everything.
Okay.
If you want to be a mass market product, you have to go to where the masses are. Um, I kind of disagree with Socheta. Is that I, I I believe that we educate the market, and the industry will only grow when people accept that the voice that they're hearing is coming from the mouth of the person they're seeing. Uh, Especially for local content, I think coming from India back in the day, we've had lip sync for years and years and years, and now it's slowly changing. And Cambodia leapfrogs a certain amount of tech steps. So when you're a free-to-air channel, it's a way bigger audience, and also if you look at the demographic, it's a very different demographic in terms of age. Whereas platforms like us or even Cinematic, you've got different audiences at different times. So depending on what that content is, they would, I mean, we have requests to have Korean content in the OV version just because the feeling is lost when you do dubbing. So then there is a separate industry that could open up from that, which is voice actors. I mean, I've been hearing the same 4 voices on Cambodian TV for 12 years now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
Yeah, I'd like to weigh in a little bit on that. I totally agree with Chai on that one. We do release well, for us, our core is always theoretical. We release 150 movies a year.
Yeah.
And we dub only our Asian content. And yes, it's the same group of voices. It's what we call what I like to call the helium voices, the cartoony voices. And yes, to kind of like bring that up to a more natural one, we after many years we decided to be, we are grooming our own team of voice talents right now, and just to be able to migrate away from that, I think that will bring people closer to the experience,
Correct.
but it will not be the same as original. I'm a big fan of original voice. I watch Latin American content in its original voice subtitles, but the China got it really spot on. For VOD, it
Yes.
has to be dubbed because you cannot read subtitles on that for full. It's really tiring to watch it that way for too long.
Okay. Michael,
Yeah.
what are the top three elements that stop a content from flourishing in Cambodia?
Piracy.
Okay.
For in terms of local content or foreign content, I think both are the same.
Both.
Piracy, of course, would be one of the things that slows everything or disrupts everything. Local content, if okay, speaking from a movie perspective, you only have that window. There's no very little chance to monetize outside of the theoretical release. That's it. You have only one core avenue if you're making a local movie, and then you try to sell internationally. Because the minute you put it up somewhere, there's a lot of streaming on. You might get it pulled off and it's streaming over on YouTube or of Facebook, and it's a long ongoing battle to keep taking down titles that you own that people are repirating up there. So that's the kind of like the main one. Yeah, I think second and third maybe we a bit more on infrastructure. Um, Internet cost is low, so streaming is not, it's actually doable. I'm not sure whether the other two agree, but that's mainly based in the bigger cities. Anybody outside, the bandwidth and speed drops a lot, and streaming is not very viable then. I'm not sure whether there's a strong third case. Maybe Achaya or Socheata want to weigh in on that.
Okay. Sam, coming back to you. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
Please.
just
Yeah.
I'll fill in Michael's third point.
Sure.
Uh, again, coming to infrastructure, but more on financial infrastructure, where if I want someone to pay for something, how do they pay? How do I collect? Right. So having a bank account and linking your Visa card to that is far away, and this is mainly urban. So if you look at the channels that which you can collect money, the most elegant and efficient one, because of the distribution, will always be operators that carry the bandwidth, which is the telcos or the ISPs, whatever. But then this is where the rub happens, is because as content creators or platform providers, the cut and the rate that infrastructure providers like telcos take make it almost unbearable for the platform in between to ever monetize efficiently. So that's why coming back to acquisition costs is, yes, we can pay, but by the time we do the sharing to the content creator, to the platform, to the payment channel, and then it's cents on a dollar that's left. So it has to be a hand-in-hand kind of industry move from both the channels, the platforms, and the pipes that carry the content to collaborate in a way that say, okay, this is how, if we go big from a volume perspective, this is what we can achieve. Instead of being greedy in trying to keep our share of the pie protected, and everyone else is fighting for the rest. So I think, especially on a digital channel, money collection is the most important part of where we see gaps in this.
Okay. So with that, I want to ask one more thing. What types of content are you looking to buy or co-produce, and what do you feel is lacking today?
This is the hard one. This is a hard one because from a data perspective, it will always be something like slapstick comedy, because the market in general doesn't like too very intellectual kind of content. They want to be entertained. We're in the business of entertainment. It's fair enough, but it doesn't push the industry. So now you have a catch-22 about what will make you money and what will make you sleep well at night. So this is where we always have a rub, as we want to leave a legacy, but we also want to pay our staff.
Yeah, same. Yeah, we have this thing where in our side, where if the script is about, you can measure the success of the title by how thick the script is when we have to localize it. Speaking on my side, we are always looking to buy more movies. We are primarily a movie company, theoretical, non-theoretical. OTT has always been our third priority. We don't do much on TV side, only when we have occasional all rights and we kind of try strike deals here and there. For us, besides slapstick comedy, China's got it. I like to weigh in horror. Horror is a very big genre in Cambodia, very popular. It's not super, but it's strong enough. And in terms of co-production, for us, we focus mostly co-production for Cambodian content. We work closely. I think both of us work closely with local production companies. So, for example, in Cambodia, we co-produced 5 titles, 5 movies this year, and we are also working on a couple of short form content and TV content, mostly around emerging genres, which are not really readily available internationally yet. We are playing out with things based around mobile games, esports, game-related content. So kind of like trying out some new things in the market. And if the market has anybody creating content similar to that's related to gaming, it's something that we are very keen to look at. That's it.
Yeah, Achaya has to say something. Yeah, please, Achaya.
No. When he said gaming, I mean, we're technically the biggest local gaming company, so we should talk, man.
Yeah, we should.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to Socheata. So, Socheata, what about your views on this? Sorry, from your platform, what types of content are you looking to buy or co-produce, and what do you feel is lacking today?
From my point of view, as I am the broadcast service, as well as from the acquisition side, drama from Thailand, Korean, Chinese, and India are the key players in Cambodian market.
Okay.
However, since we have like 3 channels for CBS, we are flexible and how to say, adapting ourselves to all the content varieties as well as its storyline and also the trend in the market. So it is quite like tactic for programming in CBS. Then we like welcome all kinds of contents, but we have to to target it properly. I mean, strategize it based on each channel's audience. So yeah, drama is number 1. Number 2 is format. Number 3 is how to say, documentary.
Okay, documentary.
Yeah, because for CTN we focus to the mass market and the slow pace of the dramas. For my TV, we focus to teenagers, so we are quite like updated, follow the trends. For CNC, we target to male audience, so boxing, documentary is our strategy for the New Year's.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so last question from us. Yeah, you want to say something, Socheata?
What I see and I feel that is lacking is about the market size of Cambodia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. We have short time. So yeah. You want to say something, Achaya?
The market size is what all of us are facing. That's why we are happy to go with any kind of profit share revenue. Yeah.
Okay. So last question from us for today before we move on to Q&A session. And any last advice to those looking to sell finished products to or co-produce with Cambodia? Both, any one of you.
Call Michael.
Okay.
No, in terms of finished products, I think with movies, yes, you can always drop us an email. And both Achaya and I, we look at both. We both look at content like that. For us, I'll share that our co-production, we don't do co-production directly. We work through a preferred partner called Gongcha Pictures. So they are we basically, we're not very professional at co-productions, and all our projects mostly run through with them. So that's the company that if there are sellers in this chat, that's the company that you might want to reach out to.
Yeah, for us, in terms of co-production, we've tried this a few times, but because we're a bit separate, I'm mainly focused on the VOD side on our platform Soyo. Brass tacks, it is cheaper to license content than to produce it locally without having a theatrical window. So if you're going long form or a series, then it just makes more sense for us to license a finished product. The industry is not at a point where we can deliver the same kind of quality versus the price point that we'll receive from licensed products from outside. And also, I think the Cambodian consumer generally veers towards more international content just because there is a huger variety available. And we are also talking to people like CBS to see if we can port some of their content that they use for free to air past that window to work on a VOD platform. I mean, if you look at statistics on Netflix, the most watched shows are Friends and The Office, which are very, very old shows, but they will last the test of time. So you don't have to be new to get traction on a platform. You just need to be able to connect to a bigger audience. So for us, licensing is the game at the moment. And when Michael makes something nice, then we'll license it from him.
Okay, thank you very much. Suchita, what do you say? Yeah, Suchita, please.
Yeah, just want to add up to
yeah, very
Achaya.
quick.
Just want to add up to Achaya. Yeah, of course, the co-production is quite hard for us. So the finished product that you go with the costume drama, because we are like very culture country. So anything that is quite similar to our culture, costume one. So even Korean, Chinese, and Thai, it is very popular. But for the co-production, it's quite hard in terms of cost sharing, and yeah, everything is like in finished product is a lot better.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Asfar, just one quick thing I just realized that one of the ways is that for sellers to look at their content, especially if it's long form for in terms of dealing with us, would be that we don't look at Cambodia as a territory. We look at Indochina acquisitions or Southeast Asia acquisitions. That sometimes makes it worth more because it's very difficult to sometimes acquire content just for one territory, like Cambodia, due to its size. So we do look at regional acquisitions for long-form content. So that might be a way that the sellers might want to look at getting Cambodia bundled in with regional partners or vice versa.
Okay.
Yeah, just to add to Michael there, if you're looking at co-production and there are people viewing who are also in the production industry, I welcome anyone who wants to do, say, a 3 or 4 country-based kind of long-form thing where there's a Thai talent, a Cambodian talent, a Vietnamese talent that we get together and we have storylines that arch across these different territories, and then you have one simultaneous release across these regions. Then it makes sense from a pure population perspective of considering Indochina. There's 200 million people there that we can then address versus the 17 million that we have in just Cambodia.
Great. Yes. Thank you very much. Brilliant, a very real and practical segment, everyone. I would like to take some questions from our attendees. I can see we have had quite a lot come in, and I will try to address as many as possible. Let's start with Suchita. A question from Turkey. How is the demand for Turkish content in Cambodia?
We can say that it is no demand at all.
Okay.
But wait. In terms of adaptation, I mean the storyline, you may like Cambodia can be like adapt to other country that already adapted from Turkish.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Do you want to say something more? about Turkish content or any content?
From my point of view, like from our programming team, as we review many kind of contents around the globe, and we found it's quite very interesting in terms of pace, storyline, the cast, and the location, the quality of production. But it is not all the Cambodian mass market wants.
Okay.
They want something like very dramatic melodrama, or sometimes it's rom-com, but rom-com in terms of drama.
Okay. I'm coming to Achaya. One from Spain. Are you interested in Latin American content?
I'm interested in anyone who wants to give me a revenue share deal.
A good one.
I don't judge, my audience judge.
Okay.
So if we can, if people are interested on monetizing separately through different markets, and Cambodia is a place that they're getting $0 today, and if they make $2 tomorrow, everybody is up on the game. Number one, I think Latin America has some great content, and the audience is the ones that decide whether they want to watch it or not. Again, there is a localization cost that is always involved in whatever we do, which is where Sabay as a company is willing to take that side of the burden, but we have to meet halfway somewhere. If you're looking to sell your content into Cambodia from Latin America, then good luck.
Okay. Thank you. Got your answer. Michael, here's one from Germany. What are the criteria for buying international factual content? And a similar question from the UK and the US. Is there much demand for documentaries?
No, I'll just a documentary one. There isn't a lot of demands for me in terms of long form content. For short form on the applications, from the VOD platforms, possible. For us, we are not very active in actually seeking any acquisitions for documentaries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think, sorry, I didn't get the first part of the question though.
Oh, I'll repeat for you. What are the criteria for buying international factual content?
Okay, so it's related to yeah, it's difficult. We have released a few long form factual contents before over here. Theoretically, generally the box office is very poor, and we have actually I've got no experience in buying factual content for directly for as a TV series or VOD.
Okay. So Chita, one from the Korea for you. What
Okay.
requirements do you have to consider K-dramas?
For the modern one, we want the one that is like follow to the trend. I mean the current trend,
Mm-hmm.
but they still prefer over the costume drama. So currently, if I buy the costume one, it's very easy for me to get it. I mean that I will like it no matter what because all are their prefer cast, prefer star. But in terms of the modern drama, I'm very selective.
Okay. Okay.
Add up to that,
Yeah, yeah.
for the example of the Sky Castle, you remember that it's the battery, I mean the higher rating, but
Uh-huh.
it cannot like it didn't prefer by our team, and also I already done the survey for this title because it's like very good rating in terms of I mean locally as well as around the Cambodian neighbor like Thailand or something, but it didn't work in Cambodia. That's why we let it go for that title.
Okay, thank you. Achaya, one more for you from the US. Are there any demand for Hollywood movies and TV series?
I think if you look at the box office, Hollywood wins every time. Uh, Michael knows this. If you have a Cambodian movie versus the Avengers wins every time globally. So there is always going to be demand because they kind of shape the market. But it also is situational to where you're consuming the content. It's coming back to Socheata's point about costume dramas. I think the reason of that popularity is because of the demographics of her audience, right? Versus a theatrical release for Hollywood content is completely determined by where they're watching this. The theater in and of itself is an experience, right? So there, yes, there is demand. At what price point is what we have to take into account for, and especially on VOD. Hollywood, unfortunately, is the target of the biggest amount of piracy available out there. So once it comes onto a digital platform, it's gone. It's literally seconds before the Pirate Bays and all of that of the world will take over on torrent sites. So you have a very small window for this kind of content, especially if you're looking only at theatrical, and this is where you'll make money in Cambodia with Hollywood content. The demand is there, the willingness to pay, that's a separate question.
Okay, thank you. Michael, one from Canada. How does your market react to comedy content?
Comedy content?
Yeah, comedy.
Comedy is very popular here. Especially if it's simple, slapstick style. That's what Achaya brought up before. Comedy and horror are the two main bread and butter for us here. Because action, if it's a Hollywood tentpole, yes, that will do really well. But a typical action hero movie here doesn't do as well as the other two genres. So comedy does well. And it's always something that it's a genre that we always look at more seriously than the others.
Okay, thank you. Socheata, for you from Canada as well, and a similar one from Singapore. Would you prefer to co-produce animated series or acquire a finished one? And what kind of animation would work here? 2D, 3D, or clay?
I would like to raise about the history of Cambodia TV. Actually, we start up with the animation. It's quite popular back in the old era. I am the one who like it. Yeah, represent all the mass market audience. But currently, because of the accessibility to other platforms and our new generation, the kids, like technology, they're very high, so they can access to any other platform. So from TV industry, the co-production of animation is not considered until the maybe the kid growing up on some things. But in terms of the finished product, we prefer the 2D.
Okay.
The 3D is quite. I have asked my kids and asked around, like they did like all those 2D series. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I can weigh in a little bit on that one, and we should catch up. We should catch up one of these days. We are big fans of animation over here on our side. Because myself, I'm really big anime fan. So it's something that we are working now to, because I feel that the kids segment over here is underserved. So it's something which, however, it's a turnkey for animation to do well. It cannot sustain on just basically watching it. You have to have the whole merchandising, the whole IP side of the business. So that is something that we are kind of like bundling and putting together for us, a couple of IP brands on animation and serving that. But yes, it's just a one-time monetization just on a typical release. What I will agree with Jetta is very difficult to look at as business. It needs to be more holistic with the rest of the segments like the IP and the merchandise side and the toys and all that as well. So get attached to it.
Okay, great.
Just add that is anime works as a method of selling your t-shirt.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. The only reason you would do anime or any kind of animation, given the access that they have to all the other platforms on free, is to create a brand and an IP locally that allows you to sell direct to the consumer based on the brand that you're promoting. So anime is just a vehicle to sell t-shirts for me. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Achaya, one from Japan with a similar question from India as well. Do you have any interest in co-producing cooking programs? If yes, any specification that is needed for such a program?
Sure. Food is everything, man. I will take anyone who wants to do a cooking show.
Okay.
Come and talk to me, but you should not talk during this show.
Okay. Okay, I got your point.
It should tell the storyline without having to have talent, actors, ding dong, all of that in between. If it's a straight out, this is how you start, this is how you end, or similar to what's trending in China right now, which is the more holistic, feel good, farm to table kind of storytelling. I'm super interested to work with them, even on a free platform that we can then monetize from advertising or product placement or whatever. But people will always eat.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's do one more generic question to wrap up. This one's from Poland for the panel. What kind of foreign content is most appealing for Cambodian audience? Michael, would you like to go first?
It's for us will be commercial horror again.
Okay.
Like one third of one. We release at least one horror movie a week into the cinema strategically. So that is 52 a year. So if you have a good horror, send it over to us, and we're interested in it. Generally, not just for Cambodia, for regional. Horror movies is kind of like a specialty, so we'll look at that in terms of a regional acquisition. So if you have something like that, we're interested. Again, comedy, yes, but for foreign, the kind of comedy doesn't translate well, especially from Europe over to for Asia. We've done a lot of French movies that are funny, but it doesn't translate well into the humor that local audiences like or accept.
Okay, great. Socheata?
Number one, Thai drama, the culture, the accent, and everything. Second is Chinese.
Okay.
The third one is Korean or either Indian.
Okay. Great.
And another one that play well, that I already stated in the beginning, is the format, because we can adapt it to localization it to fit with our audience.
Okay, great. Thank you. Achaya, please.
So I'm a combination of both these people.
Yes.
I personally don't think horror is not that worth anything, but it's also in terms of, we're a business. We're not an NGO, and we're not trying to serve the market out of our good hearts. So the cost of production or the cost of acquisition on horror is normally affordable, and the return is quite high. So this is why we get into a feedback loop as local content creators, also, that if you make a horror movie, it's going to cost you X amount of budget because it's pretty low compared to any other kind of genre. And then what you will receive in terms of monetization after that is in a ratio that is acceptable, which is why we do horror. And this is the vicious cycle that we're in, because then the audience only receives horror. And you have to have a really big bank balance to be able to take the risk to do something else. Many people have tried, many people have lost millions of dollars. Thai content, on the other hand, is the easiest to license, just because it's across the border, the sensibilities, the cultural similarities, the sense of humor is very, very similar, but also Thailand has taught Cambodians how to consume this content. So I am the love child of Michael and Socheata, where I'll say Thai and horror movies.
Okay, thank you. There are a lot of more with specifics, but I'm afraid that's all the time we have left for this very necessary session. Thank you, Socheata, Chaya, and Michael, for the comprehensive information. It was time well spent, and I appreciate your candid and honest answers.
One more
Yeah.
I want to add up is
Yeah.
maybe everyone should invest in the talent management, because like we are still lacking of the talent, I mean the star, the acting skill. Okay.
Sure. Thank you, ATF, especially Lalita, for organizing this great session. We hope it has illustrated an opportunities, the challenges for you to expand your footprint into the Cambodian market. Don't forget to log on tomorrow as ATF